from TD Ameritrade.
To the index, and we learned today Michael Nesmith of the Monkees has died. A singer and guitarist for the Monkees, the band of course created for the 1960s TV show I'm a Believer rivaled some of the Beatles hits. Michael Nesmith was 78. When we come back here, when to watch...
Liz Truss speaking there. Now, Michael Nesmith, the singer and guitarist with the 1960s pop group The Monkees, has died at the age of 78. The quartet rose to fame with a string of hit songs and starred in their own popular TV sitcom. In a statement to US media, Michael Nesmith's family said he passed away this morning in his home, surrounded by family, peacefully and of natural causes. Well, earlier I spoke to David Brown, who's a senior writer at Rolling Stone magazine. I asked how influential and significant he thought Michael Nesmith was on the 60s pop music scene.
You know, Nesmith was very influential in terms of, he was the, I guess you can call him the serious monkey. You know, the Monkees were seen as a disposable pop group in a way, but Nesmith was one of the guys in the band who wrote a lot of his own songs, and he was the kind of quality control guy in that group. And so that was a really important role in that band at the time.
You say quality control and one of the serious guys. He was also a bit of a tour de force regarding their creative control, right?
Right. They did not have control early on when they started, and it was Nesmith who was kind of led the charge and said, no, we want to participate on our own records. We want to write our own songs and play on them. And that was a real significant moment for the band. You know, they kind of broke away from Don Kirshner, their original kind of Svengali producer, auteur kind of guy, and went off on their own for a couple of years. And Nesmith was the real driving force behind the Monkees having their own voice as a recording band.
And often people think of the Monkees, they think they're quite a fun kind of, they didn't really play by the rules in those days. But he would say maybe they weren't too cohesive. They weren't really a band. They didn't really have any kind of cause, and they were sort of thrown together.
Yeah, it was an interesting thing. They were actors in a way, cast to play a rock band, and then they became one as the time went on. They did kind of the exact opposite of what most bands do. Most bands get together in garages and all that sort of stuff, and they started on a TV show, and then they became more of an ensemble. And he was one of the real driving forces in making sure that that train stayed on the track, and that they were, they lived up to that legacy of what they promised in terms of record making.
And he was also a bit of a pioneer, sort of post the Monkees, right? He came up basically with the idea for MTV, even if it wasn't in that name.
Yeah, he had one of the most interesting sort of post-60s, post-fame careers of any one of his generation. He basically, when the Monkees were over by about 1970, he didn't really look to kind of capitalize it or repeat that. He formed his own band, started making kind of quirky country records. He ventured into the world of videos, you say. He started a company called Pacific Arts. They made early music videos. They even came up with the idea for, in a way, what became MTV. He produced movies like Repo Man. He did some sketch comedy TV specials. I mean, he really kind of moved on in a way and created his own kind of alternate, artistic world that where he didn't kind of need that nostalgia. He didn't need the Monkees, and that was very rare among his generation, to just kind of cast the past aside and kind of remake yourself.
And given how influential he was, what would you say his legacy is?
Oh boy, the wool hat with the Monkees. But seriously, I think his legacy was not just writing a bunch of songs with the Monkees that have been covered to this day, Mary Mary and so forth, but also expanding music into more of a visual medium. That we see that to this day with music videos and so on. He was one of the pioneers of that. So he pioneered the idea of a serious band being on TV in a sitcom, and he then pioneered it, taking that music to the next visual level after that.
That was David Brown speaking about Michael Nesmith. As a director over...
Michael Nesmith, a singer and guitarist of the 1960s rock band The Monkees, has died. His family says he died today of natural causes. He landed a role on the TV series The Monkees in 1965. He then went on to have a solo career and has been considered one of the pioneers of country rock. Michael Nesmith was 78. More confirmation came this morning.
Michael Nesmith of the Monkees has died sadly. His manager saying he died of heart failure at his home in California yesterday. He shot to stardom in the 1960s on the hit show The Monkees. He and surviving bandmate Mickey Dolez performed together as the Monkees last month. Michael was 78, Nesmith. As thousands in the midst